Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd, and I've been awake for the past 24 hours. Gonna get to bed soon, but I just want to put up this video really quick, telling you guys about my South by Southwest 2013 experience. Here it goes, South by Southwest Magic Clip Show, Magic.
I decided to pretty much ease myself in on my first night, my Tuesday night, with a DJ set from TOKiMONSTA, which was actually fantastic. Really high energy, just banger after banger after banger, occasionally sliding in some familiar stuff. I believe she played a little bit of Tonight, maybe some Flying Lotus, but was mashing it up in some really interesting ways. I mean, not a single complaint with how she performed. Shortly after that, later in the night, I was able to catch Marnie Stern playing a little bit of new stuff on the other side of Austin. It actually took my girlfriend and I a while to walk all the way over there. It kind of ate into a majority of her set, but the songs I was hearing really had a strong garage rock and psychedelic rock vibe to them. I ended up going to the North Door for my first time that week. I would end up going there later, but this time I was down there to catch Matthew Deere and Nicolas Jaar, who both kind of had DJ sets. Awesome, amazing sounds, fades, grooves. It was just some sexy, moody dance vibes. So that was pretty much my first entire day. The next day, I went down to the Consequence of Sound showcase at the Parish. A few bands I wanted to see this week were there, one of which were White Lung, who played an extremely energetic, badass, just in-your-face punk rock set. And after that, we caught up with the band Teen, who were playing in the same venue, but upstairs. I was actually kind of on the fence with what I had heard on record from them, aside from a few tracks, which I really loved from the album they put out last year. But in person, they were really good. Just post-punk vibes coming from their tracks, as well as just progressive synth vibes as well. Unfortunately, my Wednesday night and my girlfriend's Wednesday night were cut short by giant splitting headaches, and because of that, I ended up missing out on guys like Kareem Riggins. I was planning on trying to see Nick Cave later that day, but chances are that show would have been so packed it would have been impossible, but still, he was on my list. There were other people I wanted to see that night, but anyway, I guess it was sort of a blessing in disguise that I did catch up on my sleep, because I ended up having to head down a little early for the showcase that Terrorize and I put together over at the Museum of Human Achievement. Starting things off was the band Creative Adult, a group that I had never heard of before. Terrorize brought them to the table. They had some really awesome post-hardcore and noise rock influences in their music, a strong drive like Jehu vibe for sure. They were really just energetic and chaotic. If you're into Piss Jeans as well, look them up. Shortly after that came Bad Bad Not Freaking Good. People were piling in. Everybody was just watching them very intently as they started off kind of quietly, very easily, but eventually getting pretty intense, throwing some more covers in there. Their Flying Lotus cover, their Tonight cover, their infamous Gucci Mane cover, which caused a big mosh pit, which may have been started by these guys. And not too long after, I was introduced to the Coathangers, who played a fantastic set. Awesome post-punk sound coming from this band. Totally reminded me of groups like the Raincoats or even the Slits a little bit. Really awesome performance, noisy, hectic, weird. Definitely look them up. They have some new material on the way. And after that came Mr. Lies, repping Connecticut on the bill. Mr. Lies played, and while I wasn't as impressed with his record when I heard it just by itself, I really liked his live set because the sounds that he played, the house-inspired grooves that he was working with came off really lush, really vibrant. He just had a really great sound in person. After that came Open Mike Eagle, who played a fantastic set on the stage, really energetic, really getting really gruff, growling sometimes, and Milo actually performed a track with him, and it was pretty triumphant. You can see so with this picture. And Milo himself performed a set which people were pretty excited about. He was really interacting with the crowd, getting in people's faces, hugging a few people here and there. His producer on one of the new EPs that he put out. Riley Lake was actually performing the instrumentals from that EP live in front of everybody. Antwon came on not too long after that, and man, he just has this really dark, spacey approach to 90s style hip hop that I liked a lot. A lot of people were really just impressed with his vibe, which is fantastic. Clipping performed. It's Clipping, and man, they were freaking loud, ear-piercing. The harsh noise that turns up in their music was tenfold in person, to the point where it was really testing the thresholds of a lot of people. Young Fathers ended up coming on later. They were one of the bands that ended up getting added late to the bill, but still performed a fantastic set, held nothing back, tons of energy. My girlfriend and I actually caught them at the North Door before Matthew Deere and Nicolas Jaar, where they played a fantastic set there as well. So it was just exciting to get them to play the showcase that Terrorize and I were putting together as well. They came all the way from Scotland. Plus, they've got a new record on the way on Anticon, and they were playing a ton of material from it, and it sounded fantastic in person. I can't wait to hear what it sounds like on the freaking CD. Let's continue. Later that day, I went down to the metal showcase over at the Dirty Dog. I caught the band Howl, who had a really awesome mixture of not only death metal but thrash. They were really heavy, really loud. New record on Relapse Records, I believe. And then I caught Ken Mode, who were awesome in person. Man, they were heavy. The post-hardcore, the noise rock, just the unsane. It was really fantastic in person, and I'm really looking forward to reviewing their new LP after seeing this blazing live set. Now, after that, I ran up to the North Door a little later that night to catch this New York hip-hop renaissance showcase that had Action Bronson. He had a really short set but performed well, a lot of tracks from his Rare Chandeliers tape. After that, the Underachievers played. They said they had played almost 5 other shows prior to playing this one. You could tell a little bit, but still, they got the crowd going, and a lot of people showed up to see him. But for me, personally, that night, Joey Badass, Pro Era, CJ Fly, they really stole the whole show for me. They were a fantastic headliner. Even though Joey Badass had very clearly been losing his voice to the point I didn't even think it was him when I first heard him rapping. But yes, it turned out to be a very hoarse Joey Badass. My next day at South by Southwest was filled with a few of the bigger names at the festival there that week. I tried to catch Alt J over at Waterloo Records, but I only ended up just hearing their set on the other side of a fence, unfortunately. There are actually a few artists I caught like that. Earl, Piss Jeans as well. Anyway, one band that I did get to see in person, but kind of far away, was Vampire Weekend, who had a very short kind of impromptu set on one of the upper floors of the convention building. They did play a new song, though, at the very end of their set, which was actually pretty good. A lot of very lush piano chords on the hook, from what I remember. A really good track. And later that day, I ended up catching Divine Fits, as well as Jim James over at the Auditorium Shore stage, but really I was there to see Flaming Lips. And what was even more fantastic about this set is that they played their new record, The Terror, in full track for track, and had kind of an all-new stage show, which involved a lot of weird colors and lasers and LED lights and this weird set of tubes hanging off of Wayne in the front with lightning kind of going down them and him holding a fake baby. And it was kind of a strange experience, actually too strange for some of the people in the crowd, a lot of which were kind of piling out after the third song or so. Later that night, I went over to Viceland and caught Danny Brown playing a set. Even though I caught this guy last year, I had to see him again this year because last year there were technical difficulties. The beats weren't working, the backbeats weren't there, the instrumentals weren't there. So to see him over some of his newer tracks as well, like With It, was fantastic. It was heavy, it was loud, and he played a little material from his new record as well. That actually went over really awesome when his DJ was spinning that. And with the exception of seeing a few bands at the deathmatch stage at the Scoot Inn, pretty much my entire day was spent, my entire last day was spent at the 1100 warehouse. I ended up in the afternoon catching Big Freedia. Didn't really play any new stuff, but that's not the point. When you see Big Freedia, you're there to party and shake your booty, obviously. And then after that, once the venue switched hands over to Ray-Ban and Boiler Room, who were putting on the show that I was really anticipating all week. I ended up catching Mount Kimbie, who played a pretty good set despite some technical difficulties, some issues with the monitors, not being able to hear what they were doing completely. And of course, the whole thing ended off, very last show I saw before I came back to Connecticut, Death Grips. And the whole thing was crushing, sonically and physically. Not only did they have these weird pill balloons that mimicked the pill logo that came on a sticker with their album The Money Store, but Flatlander was there, who has been mysteriously missing in some of the band's more recent live performances. But Zach Hill obviously is not on stage, and what the interesting thing was during their performance is that Zach Hill was performing drums along with them live on Skype, so you were hearing Zach's drums as well as the samples and the beats that Flatlander was pulling off, and of course MC Ride right front and center, getting in people's faces, spraying beer everywhere. It was chaotic, it was animalistic. Not only was it just pure insanity going on in front of my eyes, but the sound system they had at the 1100 warehouse for this Boiler Room show was amazing. The beats that Death Grips was playing, it was just blasting in every single direction. I don't know whether or not there were speaker systems set up all around the room, or if it was just the layout of the warehouse that was making it feel like the sound was literally everywhere. I felt like I was in the middle of the Death Grips instrumentals.
In a nutshell, that was my entire South by Southwest. I want to thank the people at South by Southwest for, doing the whole press accommodations thing that they've done with the Needle Drop every year, allowing me to come down, cover the festival to the best of my abilities. I also want to thank the people that played the showcase that Terrorize and I put together, who I wasn't able to get on camera. Either they weren't able to perform due to some kind of, crowd dwindling thing or backline issue, or I was just kind of busy, handling various things throughout the show. I couldn't get them on camera. People like Anamanaguchi or C+, as well as Weekend Money, Hot Sugar as well, who did play an awesome set, and New Sensei. And I also have to thank the people who were generous enough to want to sponsor the event, Lurk Hard and Official. If you went to South by Southwest this year, this past week, just recently, who did you see? Who was your favorite act of the whole week? What was your favorite event? Who did you talk to? Oh yeah, and this past week, I did a Nardwar interview. Shoutouts to Nardwar. So that video should be coming up sometime soon. I don't know. I have no say over it. It's the mystery of Nardwar in terms of when it's going to go up. So that's it. Anthony Fantano, South by Southwest, forever.